Paying. Let me start by telling you something that might shake you a little bit. Most people are too available to be valuable. You're giving your time, your energy, your emotions, paying, and your attention to people who haven't earned the right to access you. Value doesn't come from being everywhere, it comes from being rare. Paying, the more accessible something is, the more people begin to overlook its worth. Think about air is everywhere, but diamonds are not. Paying, you breathe the air every Sabbath stop to appreciate it, yet you'll stop and admire a diamond ring in a jewelry store because it's scarce. The principle is simple but powerful. Ability decreases perceived value. And if you want your life to increase in value, paying, you must learn to be intentional with your availability. Too many people are exhausted not because they're doing too little, paying, because they're doing too much for people who don't value them. They're pouring into others who never pour back. They're saying yes when they should be saying no. The truth is, your presence is a gift, but when you give it too freely, people stop treating it like one. They start expecting it instead of respecting it. Paying, once people expect you to always be there, they stop seeing your presence as a privilege. You become more familiar. And familiarity breeds contempt. Paying, people can't honor what they've become too familiar with. This is why you've got to pull back sometimes, not to punish people, but to remind them and yourself that you are valuable. God didn't create you to be a doormat for everyone's demands. He created you to be a difference maker. Pain and difference makers don't waste their time being available for everything and everyone. They reserve their energy for what matters. Look at how God operates. Payment, he doesn't reveal himself to everyone at the same level. He says, you will seek me and find me when you search for me with all your heart. That means access to God's presence requires pursuit. It requires effort. It's not casual. Paying, if the creator of the universe doesn't make himself cheap, why should you? People can get to you anytime where, without effort, they won't value your time, your voice, or your anointing. You become common. And there's nothing divine about being common. When you understand that your value is tied to your purpose, paying, you start protecting your time like it's sacred currency. You stop showing up to every invitation, every conversation, every distraction. Paying, because you realize that time wasted is destiny delay. You can't multiply your life while you're spread thin. Paying, and God can't elevate you if you're entangled in things that drain you. To be valuable, you've got to make peace with not being everywhere, not pleasing everyone. Pay, not being constantly reachable. Because your worth isn't proven by how many people you serve. It's proven by how wisely you steward what God gave you. And here's the trap most people fall into. They confuse business with productivity. They think being always available means they're being helpful or successful. Pain, but business is the enemy of effectiveness. Being constantly available makes you reactive instead of strategic. Paying, you're always responding to others instead of leading your own life. Value is built in stillness, focus, and mastery, not in constant motion. Paying, you can't build anything great if you're always distracted. The diamond didn't become valuable because it was always exposed. It became valuable because it stayed hidden under pressure until it was ready. Some of you need to stay hidden for a while. You need to go into a season of refinement, of silence, of focus. Stop trying to be seen. Start trying to become, because once you become, visibility will chase you. God doesn't bless clutter. He blesses clarity. When you reduce unnecessary availability, you create room for divine appointments. Every no you give to distraction opens space for a yes to destiny. Every boundary you set increases your energy for what truly matters. Remember, value attracts, desperation repels. When you operate from a place of value, you stop chasing opportunities. Opportunities start chasing you. You stop begging people to see your worth. They begin to recognize it automatically. Your energy, paying, your focus, your time become magnetic because you're no longer wasting it everywhere. So decide today to stop being a discount version of yourself. Paying, don't be the person who's always reachable but rarely respected. Don't be the one who's always around but never advancing. Learn from the principle of rarity. And be intentional with your time, select with your access, and protective of your peace. When you do, your value will rise, not because you became someone else. Paying, because you finally stopped undervaluing who you already are. The world doesn't need you everywhere, it needs you effective where it counts. Be valuable, not available. Paying, boundaries are not about arrogance, they're about stewardship. Many people misunderstand boundaries because they think protecting themselves means being prideful or selfish. But in truth, it means you understand the divine assignment on your life and refuse to let anyone or anything derail it. When the Bible says, paying, guard your heart with all diligence, for out of it flow the issues of life, It's not giving you a suggestion, it's giving you a survival principle. Pain, your heart, your spiritual core, your emotional center, is the source of every decision, every dream, and every destiny you'll ever walk into. Pain, if you don't guard it, the wrong people contaminate it, and your future will suffer for it. When you build boundaries, you're not shutting people out. Pain, you're defining where you end and where others begin. It's the difference between being loving and being foolish. Love gives pain, but foolishness gives away everything without wisdom. A boundary doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care enough to protect what matters. Think about a bank vault. The vault doesn't exist because the money hates people. It exists because the money is valuable. The vault's purpose is to protect the treasure, pain, not to insult the world outside. And your life works the same way. You're carrying something priceless. Your time, your peace, your purpose from pain, and those things need protection. Boundaries are spiritual walls that help preserve what God deposited in you. When you don't have them, pain, people will drain you until you have nothing left to give. You'll start resenting people who overstep, but the truth is, they didn't overstep, you underguarded. Pain, you didn't communicate your limits. You didn't say no when you should have. And every time you say hi, yes, to something God didn't call you to do. Pain, you're saying no to what He actually assigned you to do. Every time you try to please everyone, you end up disappointing yourself and disobeying your purpose. Pain, Jesus Himself operated with boundaries. He often withdrew from the crowds to pray. He didn't heal everyone at once, even though He had the power to. Pain, he prioritized time alone with the Father over constant public approval. If the Son of God needed solitude and boundaries, what makes us think we can live without them? Pain, in His relationship, Jesus was selective. He had the crowd, then the 12 disciples, then Peter, James, and John, His inner circle. That was not favoritism. That was strategy. He loved everyone but didn't give everyone equal access. Love is unconditional, but access is earned. Boundaries protect your spiritual capacity. And when you say no to the wrong things, you preserve energy for the right ones. Some of you are too tired to pursue your dreams, not because your dreams are too big, pain, but because your schedule is too full of meaningless activity. You've allowed everyone else's urgency to become your emergency. You answer every call, attend every event, pain, solve every problem, and then wonder why you feel empty. The truth is, you're doing too much of what God never told you to do. Pain, you're trying to fix people who don't want to change and carry burdens that aren't yours to carry. Healthy boundaries are not walls of isolation, and they're gates of discernment, gates open for what's right and closed for what's wrong. Boundaries don't limit your love, they direct it. When you create boundaries, pain, you're saying, I'll love you, but I won't let you drain me. I will help you, but I won't let you manipulate me. I will serve God's call on my life. Pain, but I won't sacrifice my peace to please people. That's wisdom. That's maturity. And that's how you move from frustration to fruitfulness. Pain, the enemy loves when you're boundaryless because he can access you through anyone. He'll use people to distract you, drain you, and derail your destiny. Pain, every traction disguised as an obligation is an attack on your focus. That's why the most powerful thing you can learn to say sometimes is no. No to gossip, no to drama, no to relationships that pull you away from your calling, no to constant availability that robs you of growth. Every no is a spiritual shield. Every boundary you enforce is a statement of value that says, Pain, I respect what God is doing in my life to let chaos rule it. People who misunderstand your boundaries will accuse you of being distant or arrogant. Pain, don't let that bother you. You're not being arrogant, you're being aligned. You're not rejecting them, you're redirecting yourself. When you set boundaries, pain, you're not building walls against people. You're building fences that protect purpose. The truth is, people who truly value you will respect your limits. Only those who want to use you will be offended by them. So learn this, you can't have peace without boundaries. You can't have purpose without priorities. Pain, you can't have growth without discipline. Boundaries are the framework that hold your destiny together. Without them, you'll crumble under pressure, lose direction, and waste potential. But with them, you'll stand firm, focused, and full of strength. Your no will become powerful. Your whys will become intentional. Pain, your life will move from chaos to clarity. Boundaries don't push people away. They draw the right ones closer. Pain, because the people meant for you will recognize your value, not resent your protection. Jesus was the perfect example of living with love and discernment. Pain, he loved everyone deeply, but he didn't walk closely with everyone. His ministry showed us that access must be managed wisely. There were multitudes who followed him. Pain, but not everyone got to walk beside him, talk privately with him, or witness his miracles up close. Jesus had layers of relationship. The crowd, the 70, the 12, the 3, and then moments where he was completely alone with the Father. Each level represented a different degree of access, pain, and each level required a different level of trust, intimacy, and purpose. That's a divine model for how we should love. Love people, serve people, bless people, but don't confuse love with constant access. If you study the life of Jesus, pain, you'll notice that he never allowed the crowd's demands to dictate his direction. People always wanted more from him, more healing, more miracles, more time, but Jesus understood his assignment and his limits in human form. He withdrew often to pray. He went up to the mountains by himself. And sometimes he left the crowd in the middle of their expectations to go and commune with his Father. He didn't feel guilty for it. He wasn't apologizing for taking time away. Why? Because even the Son of God needed restoration to continue his mission. He was teaching us that presence with God is more important than being perpetually present for people. You can't pour out if you never get poured into. Now, the problem many of us face is that we try to be more available to people than Jesus was. We want to fix, help, comfort, and rescue everyone around us. Pain, we allow others to pull us in 1,000 directions because we fear disappointing them. But Jesus never operated from fear. He operated focus. He knew his purpose. Pain, and that purpose determined his priorities. If you want to live effectively, you must adopt that same pattern. Purpose must decide proximity. Pain, not everyone gets the same level of you. Some people deserve love from a distance. Some deserve mentorship for a season. Pain, and a few deserve closeness because they can handle your vulnerability, your vision, and your growth. Look at Jesus and the 12 disciples. He taught them, led them. Pain, and poured into them consistently. But even within the 12, Peter, James, and John, his inner circle, those were the ones who saw the transfiguration. Pain, who witnessed deeper parts of his journey. That wasn't favoritism, it was discernment. Those 3 had the spiritual capacity to handle deeper revelation. Pain, you can't take everyone to your mountaintop moments because some people aren't prepared for the view. Pain, some will misunderstand your transformation and try to bring you back to their comfort zone. That's why you must be wise about access. The crowd saw miracles, pain, but they didn't see the midnight prayers. They experienced blessings, but they didn't share his burdens. And that's how your life should be structured too. You can serve the crowd with your gift, but not everyone gets access to your heart. You can love widely but trust selectively, because love is free, but intimacy is expensive. Access is sacred, and when you give sacred access to unqualified people, you invite unnecessary pain into your life. And Jesus showed us that boundaries and love can coexist perfectly. He taught, he gave, yet he also retreated, rested, and reconnected with the Father. Pain, that rhythm of engagement and withdrawal, was the key to his effectiveness. You can't stay effective if you're constantly surrounded by noise. Pain, you can't hear divine direction if you're always entertaining the crowd. Sometimes God calls you to step away, not because he's punishing you, but because he's preparing you. There's revelation that can only be received in solitude. Many of us are burned out because we're trying to live in the crowd 24/7. Pain, we think saying yes to everyone makes us loving, but in reality it makes us empty. Jesus didn't come to please people, he came to fulfill purpose. Pain, you can't serve both people's approval and God's assignment at the same time. If you try to please everyone, you'll lose yourself. But if you follow your purpose, pain, you'll attract the right people who align with it. So learn from the Master. Love everyone like Jesus did, but don't confuse love with loyalty. Not everyone is meant to go where God is taking you. Some people are for your past, not your future. Some are for your comfort, not your calling. Pain, Jesus was never afraid to let people walk away, and you shouldn't be either. He didn't chase the rich young ruler when he left sad. He didn't beg Judas to stay. He understood that divine destiny requires divine separation. If you truly want to live like Christ, follow his balance of compassion without compromise. Pain, love without overexposure, giving without depletion. The crowd will always demand your attention, but your calling demands your obedience. And sometimes obedience looks like stepping away, recharging, and allowing God to refine your focus. Because when you come back, you'll pour out from a place of power, not pressure. That's how you live a life of value, just like Jesus, full of love but discipline and access. Your life is filled with pearls, gifts, ideas, wisdom, creativity, compassion, and divine insight. These are treasures God placed inside you, not for everyone to trample on, but for the world to be blessed by in the right time and place. When Jesus said, "Do not cast your pearls before swine," he wasn't being harsh, he was being wise. Paying, he was teaching us that when you offer precious things to people who can't recognize their value, they will despise it, mock it, and turn on you. And some people can't see your worth because their vision is too small. Some don't understand your dream because their mindset is too limited. And yet, paying, we keep giving them access to our most valuable pearls, hoping they'll finally see our shine. But pearls lose their brilliance when they're thrown into mud. Paying, you've got to stop wasting what's holy on people who treat it like it's ordinary. Not everyone deserves to know your plans, your pain, or your purpose. Paying, some people are not ready for your revelation. They will misuse your vulnerability, gossip about your growth, and criticize what they don't comprehend. Paying, when you share too much with the wrong audience, you're giving them weapons they'll later use against you. The truth is, discernment must guard your generosity. Paying, just because you're full of light doesn't mean you need to shine it in every direction. Light reveals, but it can also blind when it's too intense for unprepared eyes. And you think about Joseph in the Bible. God gave him dreams that foretold greatness, leadership, and elevation. But when he shared those dreams prematurely with his brothers, Paying, they became jealous and plotted against him. His vision wasn't wrong, but his audience was. Paying, sometimes your downfall doesn't come from your enemies. It comes from sharing too much with people who secretly envy you. Your vision is sacred. Your calling is holy. Paying, protect it until it's strong enough to stand on its own. Not every seed should be planted in every soil, because some soil will choke what God is trying to grow. Paying, and let's be clear, this doesn't mean you become selfish or silent. It means you become strategic. There's a difference between shining and oversharing. Paying, you can inspire people with your fruit without revealing every detail about your roots. Some people are meant to eat from your tree. Paying, but not everyone deserves to know how you grew it. The enemy loves access. The more access you give, the easier it becomes to discourage, distract, and destroy what God is building in you. Sometimes the best thing you can do for your destiny is to move quietly. Let your progress make the announcement. Paying, people who don't value your worth will drain your energy trying to make you prove it. But when you understand your divine identity, paying, you stop explaining yourself. Those who were never meant to understand you. You can't convince a pig to treasure a pearl. Its nature won't let it. Paying, that's not your failure, that's a fact. Stop trying to prove your greatness to those who are committed to misunderstanding it. God didn't tell you to convince them. Paying, he told you to walk in obedience. When you keep your pearls protected, you're not being proud, you're being prophetic. Paying, you're recognizing that some treasures need privacy to mature. Even Jesus didn't reveal his full identity to everyone. He spoke in parables to the crowd, but revealed secrets of the kingdom to his disciples. Why? Because revelation requires readiness. Paying, you can't give deep truth to shallow minds. They'll drown in what they can't handle. Paying, some of you are wondering why people can't handle your dream. It's because they haven't grown to that level of faith yet. Paying, stop lowering your make others comfortable. Stop giving divine information to people who operate in carnal understanding. When you're walking in divine purpose, paying, some people will think you're arrogant, but what they call arrogance is actually anointing. Understand this, not everyone who listens deserves to learn from you. Some people only listen to criticize. Some stay close to copy, not to grow. Your discernment must be sharper than your desire to be liked. Protect your peace. Paying, protect your anointing, protect your vision. Your pearls are not for public display. They are for divine impact. Paying, the people God sends to you will recognize your value without you having to explain it. They will honor what's inside you because their spirit resonates with yours. Paying, those are the ones you pour into. So, learn, hold your pearls close. You don't have to announce every blessing. You don't have to justify every boundary. Paying, you don't have to explain every season of silence. Sometimes the greatest power is in mystery. Let people wonder how you're glowing when you're quiet. Paying, let them question how you're rising without their support. When you stop casting your pearls before those who don't deserve them, you preserve your strength for those who do. And the moment you align your energy with people who value your worth, your life begins to multiply. Paying, because pearls don't lose value in silence, they shine brighter in protection. You teach people how to treat you by the way you treat yourself. Paying, every time you allow disrespect, every time you stay silent when you should speak, every time you minimize your worth just to be accepted. Paying, you're teaching others what your boundaries are. The world doesn't decide your value, you do. The way you speak, carry yourself. Paying, respond to situation becomes a silent curriculum that everyone around you learns from. If you act like your time isn't valuable, people will waste it. Paying, if you give freely to everyone without discernment, people will assume you're always available. But when you hold yourself to a higher standard, paying, when you move with confidence and self-respect, people start responding differently. They may not always like it, but they'll recognize it. Then respect begins internally before it manifests externally. Think about it this way. When a luxury brand sells a high-end product, paying it doesn't beg for customers or explain why its price is so high. It simply presents itself with confidence because it knows what it carries. Paying the price communicates the value, and that's exactly how you must treat yourself. If you carry yourself like a discount, paying, you'll attract bargain hunters, people who want everything for nothing. But when you walk in purpose, when you stand firm in your identity, paying, when you move with excellence and authority, you'll attract people who value quality. You'll attract opportunities that match your level. Value always attracts value. Paying, and the problem is that many of us have been conditioned to believe humility means shrinking. Paying, but real humility isn't denying your worth, it's acknowledging that your worth comes from God. There's nothing holy about self-neglect. Paying, there's nothing godly about allowing others to mistreat you. God never called you to be a doormat for people's dysfunction. Jesus washed feet, yes, but he never let anyone walk over him. He moved with compassion and authority at the same time. That's divine balance. Soft heart, strong backbone. Paying, you can love people and still require respect. You can serve others and still maintain dignity. When you start treating yourself as valuable, paying, everything about you starts to shift. Your language changes. You stop speaking negatively about yourself. Your posture changes. You stand taller, look people in the eye, paying, and walk with confidence. Your habits change. You stop wasting time on meaningless things and start investing in growth. And as that transformation happens, paying, you'll notice something powerful. People either rise to meet your new standard or fall away. Don't fear that separation. It's divine sorting. Paying, God removes those who can't honor where he's taking you. Not everyone can handle the next version of you, and that's okay. Paying, self-respect sets the tone for every relationship in your life. You don't value your peace, others will disturb it. If you don't value your voice, others will silence it. If you don't value your time, others will waste it. So you must decide what kind of example you're setting. Paying, you can't demand respect from others if you're constantly disrespecting yourself through poor choices, low self-belief, and toxic tolerance. Pay, every high yes you give when you mean no weakens your integrity. Every time you chase validation, you reinforce the idea that your worth depends on others' approval. But when you know who you are in Christ, you stop chasing and start choosing. You choose peace over popularity, purpose over pressure, and destiny over drama. The Bible says, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." That means your internal perception of yourself creates your external reality. If you see yourself as average, and life will treat you that way, but if you see yourself as chosen, as a royal priesthood, as someone carrying divine assignment, life will begin to mirror that belief. Paying, you'll start walking like someone who knows they're called. You'll speak with conviction, move with clarity, and stop apologizing for your excellence. Paying, the world doesn't reward those who blend in, it rewards those who believe. So treat yourself like the masterpiece God designed. Speak to yourself like someone you love. Paying, don't wait for others to validate what heaven already declared. When you treat yourself as valuable, people will adjust or leave. Let them. Paying, some will misunderstand your confidence as arrogance, but don't dim your light to comfort their insecurity. You're not responsible for how they interpret your growth. Paying, you're responsible for stewarding what God placed in you. From now on, be intentional about how you show up. Respect your time like money, honor your peace like property. Paying, and protect your energy like treasure. Don't negotiate your value just to stay connected. You're not a backup plan, an emotional crutch, or a convenience. Paying, you are a divine investment. Treat yourself as such, because the moment you elevate how you treat yourself, the world around you will rise to meet that level. Paying, people will begin to mirror the respect you model, and those who don't, they'll disqualify themselves, not because you rejected them, paying, but because you're standing with their maturity. So remember this truth: people learn your worth from the way you live it. When you walk with purpose, the world takes notice. When you move with dignity, you attract destiny. You don't have to demand respect. You just have to demonstrate it. Paying, the way you treat yourself is a declaration to heaven and earth that you understand who you are, whose you are, and what you're called to become. Paying, being valuable means protecting your energy like it's currency, because in truth it is. Every conversation, every decision, every thought is either an investment or an expense. And if you're constantly available to everyone, you'll end up spiritually bankrupt, drained, distracted, disconnected from your divine purpose. God did not design you to pour endlessly into everyone. He designed you to pour strategically. There's a difference between being kind and being careless. Kindness comes from wisdom. Carelessness comes from fear. Fear of being disliked. Fear of being misunderstood. Pain, fear of missing out. But when you walk in purpose, you learn that your energy is sacred, your time is limited, and your focus determines your future. You stop giving access to people who don't value your presence, and you start reserving your best self for divine assignments. When you understand value, and you realize that availability without discernment is dangerous. Look at Jesus. He loved everyone, but didn't walk with everyone. He preached to crowds, and healed multitudes, but his inner circle was only 12. Among them, there were 3 he took to higher ground. That's strategy. That's selective investment. If the Son of God himself did not give everyone equal access, what makes you think you should? Some people are meant to receive your overflow, not your essence. Paying your assignment isn't to be accessible, it's to be impactful. You can't pour wisdom into everyone because not everyone has the capacity to receive it. That's why Proverbs says, do not cast your pearls before swine. In other words, don't waste treasure on those who trample truth. Every relationship in your life is either multiplying your energy or draining it. You know, those conversations that leave you feeling empty. Those people who call only when they need something. Those environments where your spirit feels heavy the moment you walk in. That's a sign, a divine alert. You can't stay valuable in contaminated spaces. You can't stay focused in environments that glorify mediocrity. And you can't stay peaceful around people who thrive on chaos. Protecting your energy doesn't mean you stop loving people. It means you stop allowing their dysfunction to dictate your direction. Love them, pray for them, but don't let them drain the oil you need for your purpose. When you start setting boundaries, some people will accuse you of changing. But you haven't changed, you've upgraded. You've simply learned that your energy must be managed like a business manages its finances. You can't keep giving out loans of emotional support to people who never repay with growth. You can't keep investing time where there's no return of peace. If you continue to be available to everything, you'll end up being effective at nothing. Business is not fruitfulness. Just because your phone is full of messages doesn't mean your life is full of meaning. Some connections keep you busy, others make you better. Learn the difference. Energy management is stewardship, and God blesses good stewards. If you waste your energy on gossip, negativity, and toxic people, you'll have none left for vision and creativity and obedience. But when you protect your energy, you start producing differently. You become sharper in your thinking, stronger in your faith, and more consistent in your actions. You begin to discern faster when something is misaligned with your calling. You begin to recognize peace as your confirmation, confusion as your caution sign. Protecting your energy means saying no without guilt, walking away without explanation, and resting without apology, because you cannot pour from an empty spirit. Think of yourself like a vessel carrying oil. That oil represents your anointing, your purpose, your creativity, your brilliance. If you let everyone dip their cup into it, you'll run dry before your mission is complete. Some people aren't meant to drink from your vessel, they're meant to be inspired by your overflow. You have to discern who gets access to your presence. Because presence is power. Your presence carries peace, clarity, and influence, and not everyone deserves that access. There are people who only come close to drain, not to develop. Some connections are divine appointments, others are demonic distractions. One feeds your destiny, the other feeds your exhaustion. You must become intentional about where your energy flows. Your focus is fuel for your future. Every distraction steals a drop of destiny. Every unnecessary argument, every emotional reaction, every unguarded conversation takes something from you. Protecting your energy means protecting your atmosphere. You can't grow where you're constantly explaining yourself to those who refuse to understand you. You can't thrive where your boundaries are disrespected. You can't elevate while carrying people who don't want to climb. It's not your job to convince anyone of your value. Your presence will prove it. And here's what's powerful. The moment you protect your energy, your life starts to align. You attract peace. You attract opportunities that fit your spirit. You attract people who pour back into you, who sharpen you like iron sharpens iron. You start waking up with clarity instead of confusion. With direction instead of doubt. Because you're no longer scattered, you're centered. You've learned that your peace is a form of power. Your silence is strategy. Your stillness is strength. Not every battle does your response. Not every critic deserves your attention, and not every invitation deserves your acceptance. Pain. Sometimes the greatest act of faith is to stay focused and unavailable. The enemy's favorite weapon isn't always temptation. Sometimes it's distraction. He'll use people, problems, and pressure to pull you away from purpose. But when you protect your energy, you starve distractions and feed destiny. You learn to say, I'm not ignoring you, I'm prioritizing me. You understand that your peace is not selfish, it's spiritual maintenance. Because a tired, drained, pain, distracted version of you cannot carry what God is trying to release through you. Protecting your energy keeps your vessel ready for divine use. So from this day forward, be intentional with your access. Stop giving your peace to people who haven't earned your presence. Stop explaining your boundaries to those who benefit from you having none. Your energy is not for entertainment, it's for elevation. The more you grow, the smaller your circle will become, and that's not rejection, that's refinement. God is trimming your circle to expand your capacity. When you stop being available for everyone, you become positioned for the right ones, the destiny connections. The divine partnerships, the next level assignments. Protect your energy, and you'll protect your purpose. Because your value is not in your availability. It's in your ability to stay aligned with the call of God on your life. There comes a point in your life when you realize that being valuable means living with intentional focus on your purpose and refusing to dilute yourself for the comfort of others. You are not called to fit in, you are called to stand out. You are not designed to please everyone. You are designed to please God. The moment you understand that truth, you stop chasing validation and start walking in vision. Value isn't proven by popularity, it's demonstrated by purpose. Some people spend their whole lives trying to be liked, but being liked doesn't mean being impactful. There are people who will never applaud you. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because your light exposes what they've been hiding in the dark. And when your presence challenges someone's complacency, their silence is confirmation that you're on the right path. When you become valuable, you stop needing external affirmation to feel significant. You understand that your worth is not up for debate. It was established by the one who created you. God didn't make you average. He formed you with excellence intention. Uniqueness, or fingerprint is proof you are one of one, no copy, no replica, no replacement. So why live like you're optional when heaven calls you essential? Why lower your standards to fit in rooms God called you to transform? When you walk in your divine assignment, you move differently. You speak differently. You live with clarity and conviction. You stop trying to be available every crowd and every comment. Because you realize that your destiny doesn't depend on people's opinions. It depends on your obedience. To live as someone valuable is to live with boundaries and boldness. You're not here to impress, you're here to impact. You don't have time to entertain nonsense. Because your energy is reserved for your evolution. The moment you decide to focus on your calling, distractions will show up dressed like opportunities. And people will test your patience, your priorities, and your peace. That's why you must stay anchored in purpose. When you know what you're building, you don't stop to explain your blueprint to every bystander. Not everyone deserves to understand your process. Some people can't see what God is doing in you because their vision is limited to who you used to be. That's why being valuable often feels lonely, because true growth requires separation. But don't mistake separation for isolation, it's divine preparation. God hides his greatest treasures until it's time for revelation. Being valuable means you trust God's timing even when others don't understand your stillness. You're not missing out, you're being molded. You're not behind, you're being built. Every season of silence is a setup for strategy. While others chase noise and attention, you're developing depth. Because when you finally step into your moment, your preparation will speak louder than their opinions. That's why the most valuable people are often the most misunderstood. While the world sees inactivity, heaven sees incubation. While others are busy being available, you're busy being anointed. You're becoming more dangerous in your discipline, more powerful in your patience, and more unstoppable in your obedience. People will always have opinions about your boundaries. They'll say you've changed. They'll say you're distant. But what they call arrogance, God calls awareness. You're simply aware that you can't fulfill a big purpose with small habits. You can't build something eternal while staying stuck in environments that drain you. And you can't reach new levels while remaining surrounded by old mentalities. Every time you rise in value, God will prune your access. Some doors will close. Some friendships will fade. Some opportunities will pass by. But every no from people is protection from distraction. Every loss is a lesson that leads to alignment. You can't be available for what's beneath you and still expect to ascend. When you live from a place of divine value, you stop negotiating your worth. And you stop chasing temporary comfort at the expense of long-term calling. You stop settling for less just because it's familiar. Instead, you learn to wait on what matches your anointing, because everything valuable is rare, and everything rare takes time. Diamonds aren't found on the surface. They're formed under pressure. Gold isn't made in comfort. It's refined by fire. So when life gets tough, don't complain about the heat. Understand that pressure is proof of potential. The fire you're in isn't meant to destroy you. It's meant to define you. God allows pressure to reveal purity. And when you come out, you'll shine brighter, stronger, and more valuable than before. Being valuable also means serving with excellence. It's not about arrogance, it's about stewardship. You do everything as of the Lord, not halfway, not lazily. Not when it's convenient. You show up in every area of life with integrity, passion, and discipline, because you know who you represent. You're an ambassador of heaven. And that means when you work, you do it with diligence. When you speak, you do it with wisdom. When you love, you do it with sincerity. Your value isn't just in what you say, it's in how you live. Excellence is your evangelism. People may never read a Bible, but they'll read your character. The way you handle success, the way you respond to failure, the way you treat others, that's your testimony. And let's be clear, and being valuable doesn't mean being prideful or unreachable. It means you operate from self-respect, not self-importance. You don't look down on others. But you don't let others pull you down either. You help people rise without lowering your standard, because real value lifts others. It doesn't compete, it completes. And you can be humble and high value at the same time. You can serve others while still protecting your peace. You can love deeply while maintaining boundaries. That's not arrogance, that's maturity. Eventually you'll realize that being valuable is less about being known and more about being purposeful. You're not here to impress crowds, you're here to fulfill a calling. The more valuable you become, the less you need to announce it. Your results will speak louder than your words. Your fruit will prove your faith. People will notice something different about you, not because you're trying to be seen, but because you become aligned with what God designed. And alignment always produces attraction. The right people, opportunities, and blessings will find you when you stop chasing and start becoming. So stop trying to be available for everyone and start being available for God. Stop trying to be understood by everyone and start being obedient to your purpose. Stop apologizing for hazards and start standing firm in your self-worth. You are not for everyone, you are for the assignment God gave you. The moment you embrace that truth, peace will follow you, favor will surround you, and purpose will propel you. The world doesn't need more people who are available, it needs more people who are valuable, people who know who they are, whose they are, and what they've been sent to do. You are that person. Walk like it, talk like it, love like it. Because when you carry yourself with divine value, you don't chase validation, you command respect.